shares, I bet you just learned the issue of shares, that journal entry. I was watching from outside. So before we dive into that, let's understand what are shares and why do companies issue them in the first place. Okay, so shares represent ownership of a company, right? So when you own a share, you're a part of the company, which means you have a stake in their profit and loss, in their future success and failure. So why do they issue shares? So primarily shares are issued to raise capital, right? It's a way for them to gather funds without taking debt. Okay, so now we have understood what are shares and why we issue them. Now let's understand issue of shares. So when a company is issuing shares, they can issue shares either payable at lump sum or in installments. So that basically means that either you have to pay the whole amount of your share price at once, or you can pay it in multiple installments such as application, allotment, first call and so on, depending upon the company. So shares can be issued at par or at premium. What I mean by par is when the face value of your share is equal to the issue price. And premium is basically when your issue price is more than face value. Now here's an example. Say XYZ company is issuing 1 lakh shares for 10 rupees each. Now in this scenario, the face value is equal to the issue price. So in the first journal entry, let me show you the journal entry. So first journal entry, remember there is a receipt entry and there's a, why are you laughing? Yeah. So there's a receipt entry and there's a transfer entry. To identify a receipt entry, bank account is always debited. And to identify a transfer entry, share capital is always credited. So here as you can see, bank account debit to equity share application and allotment. You can also understand, since there are only 2 journal entries, this has been done in lump sum. So you have to pay the whole issue price at once. So 1 lakh into 10 lakh, that's how this amount comes. Bank account debit to equity share application. And the transfer entry is equity share application and allotment account debit to equity share capital. This was at par. Now when you're issuing this, the same thing at premium, say you're issuing this at 12 rupees. Now your face value is 10 rupees, but you're issuing it at 12, so you're paying 2 rupees extra. What is that 2 rupees extra for? It's not for fun, right? It goes towards security premium. So the only difference here will be the amount, because obviously you're paying more, and in the transfer entry, you have to credit to securities premium. So in the transfer entry, I'm going to explain the transfer entry real quick. Equity share application and allotment account debit 12 lakh, which is 12 into 1 lakh, to equity share capital, which is the face value into the number of shares, and to securities premium, which is the security premium amount multiplied with the number of shares. So we have understood the issuing of shares. Now say, what's your name? Jabir. Okay, say Jabir had applied for 100 shares. Okay, he has applied for 100 shares, and let me make the scenario a little different. This company has instead issued shares for 10 rupees but in installments. So there are 3 stages: application, allotment and first call. Let's say this is the first and final call. So this company wants you to pay 2 rupees for application, 3 rupees for allotment and 5 rupees in the first and final call. So in total you are paying 10 rupees, but then you are paying it in installments. So say Jabir had applied for 100 shares. Okay, now he paid the application money, because without paying the application money, we don't even know he has interest in taking the shares. So he paid the application money, but when the company called for allotment, he did not pay. Okay, so he did not pay allotment. And then the company also called for the first and final call. He still did not pay. So he hasn't paid. So what will the company do? Exactly. Why would we give him shares? He doesn't deserve it. He's not paying. So in this situation, we are going to forfeit his shares. Okay. So now the journal entry you can see is share capital account debit to forfeited shares to calls in arrear. Mind you, what is calls in arrear? Calls in arrear is the amount unpaid by him. Okay. So it's easy to remember the journal entry, but I'll show you how do you come to the amounts. Okay. So here I want you to remember one thing. Is it clear? Can you understand what I've written on the board? Because my handwriting is it clear? Okay. So remember the cup method. CUP. C is for called up. How much has the company called up? U means unpaid. How much has this shareholder unpaid? And P is for paid, obviously. So in this situation, the company has called up for the entire amount, which is 10 rupees. This is 10. And Jabir has not paid allotment and first call, which is 3 plus 5, which is 8, right? So you can just get the paid is 2. We knew he paid for application. So why did we do this? Is to come up to the amounts here. Number of shares into called up value. What is the called up value? 10. Absolutely. So how many shares did he apply for? 100. So the amount will be 100 into 10. Yes. So share capital account debit 100 into 10, which is 1000, to forfeited shares. Now forfeited shares is the amount that has been received by us. The amount, how much has he paid? He has paid only the application, 2. So the number of shares into the amount that he has paid. So how much will that be? 100 into 2. 200, right? And the amount that he has not paid, which is the calls in arrear, unpaid amount, as we saw, the CUP method, unpaid is 8. 8 into 100, which is 800. So that is the amount, right? So that is, so Jabir did not pay and we forfeited his shares, unfortunately. Next, we are going to look at reissue. So we have forfeited his shares. Now the 100 shares that we have, keep in mind that reissue is not issuing of shares. It is the sale of the shares that we have forfeited. It is not necessary for us to reissue this share at exactly 10 rupees. You can, so there are 3 ways. You can reissue it at par, which is the issue price is equal to reissue price. So in that case, that would be 10 is equal to 10. So you reissue it exactly for 10 rupees. Or you can reissue it at discount, where the issue price is greater than the reissue price. Oh wow, PR. Where the issue price is greater than the reissue price. So then to find the discount is issue price minus reissue price, right? Price. And then premium is exactly the opposite thing, where the issue price is less than the reissue price. So the journal entries you can see, when we are issuing it at discount, you have to debit forfeited shares account, and when we are issuing it at premium, we have to credit the securities premium account. So that was a brief explanation of issue, forfeiture and reissue. This is the summary. Okay, ma'am, that's it.